wish I could make my voice say that. Because I'm going to send it to studios and other places to, to say, hey, I would like to guide your organization, company, friends, family through an introduction to mindfulness meditation. So I'm going to use this with you all's permission. And if you're not okay with that, I know how to now put a smiley face over your face. So thank you, Canva. So yeah, with that being said, so yeah, anyway, I'm in a great space. I'm glad to, like, everyone that's on this call has played some kind of role in my journey, and over. So moving forward, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'll have a recurring meditation where it'll be like 20 minutes. It'll be like a 5-minute Dharma talk, a 15-minute sit, and then we'll go our separate ways. And then each week, if somebody's on there, I would like to share my story of everyone that's in here. And I'm trying to think of who's my oldest friend in here. And I think I'm going to just say it's Mindy. And so I'll share my story with Mindy, my Mindy story. And Mindy's from El Paso, and her, and so a friend of mine, a mutual friend, invited me out to a Rockets game. And she says, I'm going to meet some friends there. And the 3 friends that I met that day have impacted me. And it was Mindy, Eric, and Lisa, who passed away a couple of years ago. And Mindy and I became really close friends. And she was on campus working for IMG, IMG. And she worked for IMG in the sports department, athletics department, and we just became really good friends. And we've always kept in contact. We've had like a really good friendship the last 6 or 7 years. And now she's moved to Dallas, I think. And when I mentioned this, she was like, I'm down. And so I'm so grateful for her. And everybody in here has a similar story in some way. So I'm glad that everyone's here. Is there a chat? Oh, somebody else. Oh, that's right. You are. And you went, wait, what did I do? Okay. And you went to UTEP, right, too, Claire? Is that right? Yeah. Mindy was UTEP. Go Miners. That's all I know. Anyway. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to honor, and like honoring the lineage is very important to me, and honoring my friends who are very supportive, and I could never do any of this alone. And so yeah, I'm grateful for that. So let me share my screen. And so we could start. And I'm going to try to be very mindful of the time. Not to go too fast, not to go too slow. And I know that you all will give me grace if I stumble a little. That's okay. I'm okay with that. So yeah, welcome to Introduction to Mindfulness Meditation. And my name is Cesar. My pronouns are he, him. I'm going to try not to like scroll too hard to not make people dizzy. Yeah, so today, I was trying to think of like, what is the intention? So I couldn't think of like this clever intention, but if I had to say something, so what I want to talk, I won't say, you may hear this word throughout the next like 40 minutes, but it's just noticing. So noticing, it's going to be the practice of noticing things, and sometimes we don't just notice, we react like somebody, like it's like somebody may come on here in 10 minutes and someone may say, oh man, somebody's in here late, whatever the thought may be. And so tonight we just want to practice noticing, and sometimes in a yoga class in Shavasana, sometimes people drop their water bottle. And not to say that I'm still not like, oh, what was that? Or startled, but now I try to just notice like, oh, it's just a water bottle. It fell. It's just part of, no big deal. No need to make it mean anything. No need to the judgment or bias or any of that. And so if I could help with one thing today, it's just to kind of start your journey or help in the area of just simply noticing. And you'll hear that throughout. And so table of contents, that's my caricature there that one of my friends from my meditation cohort drew for me. So yeah, there's the introduction. I mean, we'll do a little intro about meditation, the history, what the heck is mindfulness, as my teacher says, some of the benefits And then I'll talk a little bit about my meditation journey and the 3 simple steps, simple, not easy. Also, as my teacher says. So, um, yeah, you'll see what that means very soon. And I'm going to kind of follow Pima Chodron's work of precision, gentleness, and letting go. So there's 3 simple steps, and those 3 steps fall within those 3 words there, or 3 statements of precision being this first step, and gentleness, you'll see what the second step is, and then letting go. And that's letting go is, being non-judgmental, forgiving, patient, all those things that we want to practice. And then we'll have a 15-minute sit after I've shared those steps and kind of some of the just some of the guidance to mindfulness meditation. And then we'll wrap up with a little Q&A, little lunchbox, and pack a lunchbox, which is kind of like, hey, and you'll see what that is soon. And so before we start, just if you need to get water, you need to step away, just take care of yourself. You don't have to, maybe if you had to like change rooms, maybe turn the video off. I think that's kind of startling sometimes, but just take care of yourself. You don't need to, or if you need to just sign off, if it's too much, if emotions are coming up, you just sign off. You don't have to say anything. And this is a safe space, and I'm here for you, unequivocally support you. Okay, so welcome to Introduction to Mindfulness Meditation. And yeah, so in this workshop, we're going to learn a little bit about the history, like I said, the benefits, and then I'll hopefully share some tools that will help you establish your own personal daily meditation. Not daily, but help you establish your own meditation practice, whatever that could look like. I made a like a gentle aspiration, gentle commitment to practice every day, moving forward. So, but that could be, and I know that if I fall off one day, forget, or I'm too tired, or for whatever reason, I just simply come back. So hopefully I'll share some tools today that'll help you start your meditation journey and have the experience that is meant for you. And so just a little background, I'm a 100-hour certified mindfulness meditation teacher through the Dharma Moon and Tibet House schools, and my teacher's David Nichtern. Funny story, I didn't meet him, but I first heard of him through a cartoon on Netflix called The Midnight Gospel. And it was so weird. It was like right early pandemic, and just something about his voice was weird. So I looked at the cast, and then I Googled him. And then next thing you know, I'm in his training. So I always want to honor him, David Nichtern, and his teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche, who was his teacher, and all the teachers before them. So, I wouldn't be able to share this with all of you if they had to share it with somebody else. So I want to honor the lineage, and that goes back 2,500 years. All right. So just a little history on mindfulness meditation, and mindfulness meditation is the foundational practice of Buddhism. So and it's a secular practice. So you don't have to shave your head and join the monastery to practice mindfulness meditation, and it has been, like I mentioned, around for 2,500 years, and it's just been handed down, and so I feel like part of my dharma or my duty is to continue passing that down. And so I'm fortunate to be able to host a workshop and not like charge anyone, because I have a job, and I'm able to do it, and it feels good to me to do it that way. So I don't know if I didn't have a job, if I would do it differently. I couldn't answer that, but it just feels good to share something that's been so helpful to me. And that's 2 years, that's 2.5 years for everyone have been challenging in their own way, and I've had some of those challenges also. So yeah, so it's anyone can practice it, like I mentioned, and then some of the people who do practice mindfulness meditation, like Oprah, J Balvin, Kendrick Lamar's misspelled that, Godihan, and then you. And J Balvin has he made a documentary. I forget what it's called. It's on one of the streaming platforms, and if you watch it, like around the middle, he says, like, he was struggling with depression. This is a person who's like very famous and had a huge following. And he was like, when he was, and he went through a stage of like a stage where he was, wanted to unalive himself. Um, and he said the mindfulness meditation saved his life. And so it's had a tremendous impact on a lot of people. And I think Russell Wilson's a huge meditator. And LeBron, of course, if you follow he's on one of the apps, and he's got a pretty cool voice if you'd like to hear.
He's on Calm.
He's on Calm. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's on Calm. And yeah, he's got a cool voice if you like that, those kind of meditations, guided meditations where people speak a lot. And I like those sometimes too. So yeah, I've been practicing for about 3 years. It started when I started my yoga practice, but it was it was just like, very occasional here and there. And I used the Calm app, the Insight timer. Is somebody trying to get in? Just trying to, oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. He's got a silky voice. Yeah, and I was trying to, so it wasn't until I started my meditation teacher training that I really, started to work with my practice and kind of, yeah, just sit a little more often. And when you're guided by someone like David Nichtern, who has like this special touch where you just feel like it just really makes you feel like you're not doing anything wrong, because I used to think like, oh, I'm sitting wrong, or I should be doing this, or I can't cross this leg because my hip, and he just really made me feel like the Buddhists, like just their principles are very loving and kind and compassionate, and there really is nothing to get right, so that means nothing can be wrong. It's just a practice in where, like, being accepting of your experiences, and that's been really helpful for me. And it's been really helpful. It's like come off of my cushion to my real life to help me through, a lot of challenging times in my life and things that I'm still working with now. And yeah, and I'm grateful for to be able to meditate daily now. And it's yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, so if is there I'm sure is there anyone who hasn't meditated before, or someone who's like very new, or just if someone would come off mute and just if you have just kind of a not really a consistent meditation and you just want to share a little bit about, I'd just like to hear a little bit about where you are in your meditation practice. If anyone would like to share, just like out, like once a week, or do you anything like that would be appreciated.
I'll share.
Yeah, Claire.
I've been trying to meditate a lot more recently just because I have a lot of anxiety. So that's how I know LeBron's on Calm app. I like a lot of the guided meditations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've quite a bit of experience. I practice a lot of yoga, and over at teacher training, we did quite a bit of meditation. So
Yeah, good. And so what do you have an aspiration for what your meditation practice could look like? Are you trying to, meditate daily or a couple of times a week, or?
yeah, I don't really. That's something I'm working on. I'd like to practice every day. Really waking up in the morning, meditating when I get up. I definitely meditate on days that I know I'm gonna have some anxiety, or I know are gonna be stressful. I meditate then. I meditate sometimes before like big meetings or presentations at work. I'll go to a room and I'll meditate, even if it's just for like 5 minutes. So, been
Yeah,
really trying to incorporate it in my life.
yeah, for sure. I think sometimes, like for me, for sure, I used to think that, I had to get like in a, like a calm room and certain sounds and like incense burning to like be able to meditate. And what I've discovered is like, I just really need like a good 5 minutes, especially like before a meeting, like you said, um, just to center, like just before, everybody started coming on, at just 5 minutes of just, paying attention to my breath, and just getting present in it. And it's very, it's very helpful for me to, and it has and it does down regulate you. So even if you're like if you just came in from running from outside, if you just sit for a few seconds and just take your natural breath, it's gonna naturally slow down your heart rate, down regulate your nervous system, and it's has a very common effect for sure. But yeah, so then yeah, the $1 million question. So the same teacher I mentioned, he has a podcast called Creativity, Spirituality, and Making a Buck. And one of his episodes is what the heck is mindfulness, and and then I'll also talk about its benefits. And he defines mindfulness meditation as placing attention in an intentional way on a specific object to develop focus and become aware of what arises in a non-judgmental way. So if we like break that down a little bit, in mindfulness meditation, the specific object that we place the attention on is our breath. And just as you're sitting there, just notice where you notice your breath. Is it just your natural breath? Do you notice it in your chest or in your tummy? Do you notice like the air passing through your nostrils? Do you like notice just think about, without coming, you don't have to tell me anything, but just think about where you notice your breath when someone says, hey, place your attention on your breath, and just your natural breath, and see where that is. And whatever comes up for you, that's probably going to be the area that when you hear someone say that, you'll naturally go to it. Or if you're like, okay, I need to concentrate just for a few minutes. It's very hard for me anyway, to place my attention on my breath, like noticing my chest rise and fall, and think about if I have enough gas to get to work tomorrow. Like, it's challenging. But then once my mind wanders, then I can think about that, and then I come back. So and so we place the attention on our breath. And then the second part of that is become aware of what arises in a non-judgmental way. So like, I'm placing my attention on my breath, and then suddenly I'm like, damn, do I have enough gas? And instead of saying like, damn it, why can't I concentrate? No, I can just notice like, okay, that's just like a thought, like a passing cloud. Like some may say like a thought is just like a passing cloud, and you can't follow it forever. Eventually it's gonna leave your sight. And so, and you don't say like, oh, look at that cloud, it's got too many billows in it. You just notice it. And so the same thing with our thoughts in this practice is we're gonna notice those. Like, it's not, meditation is not the goal is not to eliminate all thinking. That is, Alan Watts says, that's like trying to drink the Pacific Ocean with a fork. Like, it's impossible. You're not gonna be able to do it. And that's not the goal. The goal is not to be like, oh, I meditate, I didn't think about anything. It's like, I'm not a scientist, but it seems impossible to not have a thought. So, but where the practice is noticing those thoughts, like when it comes up, like that person didn't text me, or that, did I finish this project, or man, I missed that time that I had. Like, all those thoughts are going to come up. Those are part of our wandering mind. And the work of this practice is to be mindful of that. And that's where you notice that, and the practice is you notice that, then you come back to your breath. So in the 3 steps, I'll share how we do that. And just noticing, come back to the breath. And the way it works, the way it can show up off our mat is those times where you're like in a meeting, and here comes that one person, like, that one person, right? That energy, you and them have, our energies don't match. And you immediately go into like judgment mode, or whatever that could be. And so the practice teaches us like, yeah, that's still going to come up. You're still going to, but not attaching to it, not like grasping that thought and then just letting it like burn up the whole meeting with like, oh, she's wrong, or they're wrong, or he's wrong. Like, notice it. So the practice helps us off our cushion, off our mat, to notice those things and then come back. Not grasp, not repress, because there's some thoughts that we want to hang on to, like, I lost my dad, and there's thoughts that I want to hang on to, and it just, if I spent my whole day thinking about the last breakfast I had with my dad, I wouldn't get anything done. And it's not a tool to like bypass that feeling. Like, I could still feel it. And then when I feel good, I'm like, okay, let me come back to the now. And so mindfulness, that's what we mean when we talk about place to develop focus. And then and then become aware of what arises. So placing the attention on the breath, notice those thoughts, and then come back to the breath. So yeah, so being mindful is having a moment-to-moment awareness of what we're doing. Think about like, have you ever like been in a hurry? I think I put it in here, but have you ever been in a hurry? And it happens to me all the time. Like, and I have to do something when I get here to my place that I just put my keys somewhere. My place is not that big. But then later on when I'm gonna leave, I was like, where did I put my keys? Because I was mindful of something else. Like I had to get to the whatever, to the restroom. And so like that was where all my attention was. And so then I was like, where did I put me? Instead, if when I don't have to, like I walk in, okay, my keys go here, my coat goes there, like, and it's always there. So just being mindful is like being aware. So when people say like eat mindfully, it's like, not scrolling on our phone while we're eating, like really enjoy it. So just like a quick drill, like in a second, I'm going to ask you to look behind you and notice like all the things that are red. Like look behind you and notice all the things that are red. Like turn around, Mindy, look at behind you, see what's red. Okay, now, okay, sorry. Okay, now tell me everything that was blue. And so it's gonna be hard, right? Because you placed your attention on the red. Now, your eyes saw blue. They saw it, like they saw it. I guarantee you, it didn't disappear. It's there. And so when we're in our mindfulness meditation, we're gonna be mindful of our breath, but we're not shut down to what's happening. So you may be like I love to meditate in a coffee shop. It feels good to feel like people look at me like I'm weird. That feels good to me. And so, and I noticed them. But I have my attention on my breath, and I see them pass through there, but I couldn't tell you what color was their shirt. I couldn't remember that. I just know somebody walked by. And then sometimes I do it outside, and you'll notice, I never noticed this until I meditate, because mindfulness meditation is an open eyes meditation. So you're gonna notice some things. And so I noticed the fly. Like I noticed a fly land. It was like right on the table where I had my line of sight. And then eventually it flew away. And it was gone. Like I don't even, I don't remember, if somebody paid me $1 million like to go find it, I could never find it. Because we don't chase that fly, right? We're not like, oh, where'd that fly go? I need to find that fly again. Same thing with our thoughts. Like, let that thought come, land like a fly, and then just drift off. Come back to your breath. So I'm trying to. That's the hardest thing for me to grasp. Like, what do they mean about like be mindful of our thoughts and just notice them? And that's kind of the beginning of that. That's kind of, and you'll develop your own way of that. And then some of the benefits of mindfulness meditation: reducing stress, anxiety, improve sleep. It definitely helps you sleep if you like lie down and meditate, which I try not to do because it knocks me out. Again, because you're like down regulated and you're just really, and your body is used to falling asleep when it's laying on its back. So mindfulness meditation is a practice that we're going to do sitting up, and we'll talk more about that here soon. And mental calmness, clarity, stability. And you may ask, like, how does that happen with just like sitting there and noticing my breath? And it's because you'll with the discipline, consistent practice, you'll begin to notice it, like in those meetings where that challenging person shows up, or driving. If you're like me and like somebody cuts you off and you're like, you take it very personal, or I take it very personal. And so instead of just like notice, okay, that was kind of annoying, but that person doesn't even know I exist. And so it helps me with mental calmness. It helps me like not be uncalm for such a long time like I used to. Now I still notice it, still get uncalm, and it'll help you a lot. And so you'll see it in your conversations and your relationships with your friends and family and loved ones, where there's always, especially with family and the holidays, sometimes a lot of time around family can bring up certain emotions, and mindfulness meditation can help us kind of navigate that. And there's tons of research for I know I think there's a geologist in here. Tons of research on mindfulness meditation, and there's a Harvard study, and I just looked that up, and so it's got some proven benefits from that side. Okay, the moment of truth, the 3 simple steps, simple but not easy. And so we're not gonna meditate yet, but just we're gonna kind of practice like sitting, not practice sitting, but I'd identify what a good sitting position is for you because it's different for everyone. So for me, for example, I'm sitting on my sofa today, and generally I sit on my shins, so like hero's pose, so like on my shins on a block. So and so try to find like a take a comfortable seat is like the first cue. And so that could be cross-legged on a cushion, on a yoga block, um, in a chair, um, any of those any of those positions that feel good to you. And you want to generally have your hips slightly above your knees. So that means like you might be sitting on something. So if you're on the floor, you would want to elevate your hips a little bit. That's just for like an ergonomically correct way for some people. Now everyone's different, shape different. And so take the seat that feels good to you, that feels good in your body, feels good in your heart. And so just be mindful of that. And you'll take your comfortable seat, and then your hands will go palms down on your thighs. It's one way that's called the resting mind mudra, is what Pima Chodra calls it. Some people like to place the palms up to receive, and then anything else that feels good to you. So, you know, if you're wearing a jacket, your hands in the pocket, just something that feels good to you. The main point is like if you if you try to put your hands on the floor, it's going to really activate and pull your shoulders forward. And so it's creating some tension and creating some like just some muscle activation. So you want your shoulders to be kind of in line with your torso and with your hips. So just kind of like, you could shrug your shoulders and then just like let them rest, and wherever they fall, and then place your hands on and I like to put my hands on my thighs and move them up and down between my hips and knees and try to find like that sweet spot, like, oh, that feels good right there. Yeah. And then you would, and then part of the sitting step one is like your gaze. So you surrender the chin to the chest, or just move your chin to your chest slightly so that your gaze, your open eyes, your softly open eyes are looking 4 to 6 feet in front of you. So if you're in front of the computer when we begin to meditate, you could do I like to twist this so I'm not like looking right at the screen, or you could move your body. You could do whatever you want. Usually something that doesn't interrupt your sight. And for me, sometimes the screen is, it's a little bright, and so I'll move it. So it's a soft gaze. Uh, it's a soft gaze 4 to 6 feet in front of you, and your mouth can be like, and you'll notice this when we start setting up. Sometimes like we don't even notice it, but like we clench our jaw or like, and so in mindfulness meditation, we want to like slightly open or lightly close, just something like very gentle. And what it's not a like competition of stillness. It's not like, okay, I don't want to move, I don't know. It is the opposite of that. It's noticing like, oh, my leg's hurting, I need to stretch it out, and then stretch it out, and then simply come back. And your breath doesn't stop, right? You don't have to do anything. It's happening, you're not doing it. And so then just come back to your breath, like, let me stretch out my leg, let me do this. I'm going to do that eventually too. Or like, oh, I got an itch in my face. Like it's not a competition, or the goal is not like absolute stoic stillness. It's not that. It's it's just noticing when like, oh, I need to arch my back a little bit, starting to hurt. Any of those things are um like you can do. Like just the main thing is to take care of yourself, and hopefully like when you continue this practice one day or tomorrow, whenever you do it, like you give yourself that grace that it's not about trying to do something perfectly. It's working with our mind, working with our thoughts, and then being accepting of ourselves, and then that'll help us be accepting of others. And so that's step one in short version. And then step two, we talked about that, placing your attention on your breath. And so like notice the rise and fall of your tummy, over your chest, or notice the air passing through your nostrils. And then a soft focus on any of those, like just a light touch of like, oh, okay, that feels okay. I see where that is. And then if it changes, like then it could change, like, like tomorrow you may feel it in like your back widening or expanding. And it's just be okay with that. And just like notice it. And if you get angry or feel anything, you could just ask yourself, like, oh, I wonder why I feel that way. And then just it's a loving kindness and compassion starts with ourselves, and then we can share it with others. Okay, so we talked about that PlayStation bread. That's like um, a great part of this. And then so the precision is the posture, like not precision in like perfection, but precision in like you don't want to do it while like you're doing Peloton and say, oh, I did Peloton and meditation. Whew, what a great hour. Like you're just doing Peloton, or you don't want to like be journaling and say, oh, I meditated, because then you're just journaling. So the precision is in like, have like committing to like your 15 or 20 minutes, and then trying to honor those steps that feel good to you. Like it feels good to me to sit in a lotus position with my hands, with my palms down, and whatever that feels good to you. And so the gentleness is in like placing the attention on the breath, like we mentioned, and then letting go is the thoughts. So that's where like our main work is as thoughts arise. As thoughts come up, like let's just say you got your posture, you got your breath, the bell rang, and you're like, okay, I feel good. I got my breath. I'm attention on my breath. Oh yeah, oh my God. And then the thoughts, the wandering mind starts. Like things start to come up. And so in this practice, we label those thoughts thinking just to yourself. Like I'm going to say it out loud, but this is to yourself. Like I'm thinking about like, is it too late for a shake? Like, oh, thinking. And you want to practice saying that in a very kind, gentle way, just like, oh, thinking, and then come back. And there's no like, you have unlimited thinkings in your bank, in your thinking bank. Like you can say that as many times and come back to your breath. And some days may be a whole lot. Some days may be like, I feel like the whole 20 minutes I was just saying thinking the whole time. And that's okay. And just notice that. And then maybe the next time would be less. And then sometimes we may be like a little harsh on those labels of thinking. That's okay. Notice that, come back and just practice, practice saying, labeling those thoughts as thinking, and notice them in a non-judgmental, unbiased way, like not grasping, not repressing, not like hating them. And it's not to stop thinking, like we mentioned, the thoughts are going to come. You may notice in your practice as you develop a deeper practice that you have even more thoughts, and we're just becoming more aware of our thoughts. Where before we were like kind of not mindlessly, that's kind of a rough word, but we weren't as mindful. And so those thoughts were coming up. So now as you're getting clearer, you may notice those and just simply come back to the breath. So this is in the worksheet. If you didn't get it, I can send it to you. And it's just, it's the three simple steps, simple, not easy, and you'll have those forever. And with that being said, we're gonna sit for 15. So find your comfortable spot. I put a little joke in here where two monks look at each other and they say, "Are you not thinking what I'm not thinking?" so, um, so yeah, so we're gonna begin. I'm gonna set my timer, and so yeah, just begin to take a comfortable seat. Okay, what did I do wrong there? Okay, yeah, so take a comfortable seat, cross-legged, or you could sit in a chair, any way that feels good to you in your body. If you need to move or shift throughout this practice, feel free to do so. Next, we'll place the attention on the breath. It could be the rise and fall of your tummy, rise and fall of your chest. It's a soft gaze downward, 4 to 6 feet in front of you. Chin is slightly surrendered to the chest. Hands can be face palms down or palms up, whatever feels good to you. And as thoughts arise, label those thoughts thinking. Come back to your breath. When you notice those thoughts, without grasping or repressing, without judgment or bias, simply notice those thoughts and come back to your breath. I'll give you you'll hear a bell at the halfway point, and then a bell at the end, a third bell at the end, and then I'll share a short reading. And I'll give some gentle reminders throughout the next 13 minutes. As thoughts arise without judgment or bias, grasping or repressing, label those thoughts thinking and come back to your breath. Start to come back to the space. If your eyes are closed, you can blink them open. Take a little movement in your fingers and toes. I'm going to read one of my favorite mantras. Won't try to say the Sanskrit way, but may all beings be everywhere. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and that freedom for all. I wanted to be mindful of the time, so I paused it a little bit earlier, and just to have enough moments. I know you're on the East Coast, Ashley, and you just wanted to open up the floor if anybody wanted to share anything, had any questions. Oh, you take a picture. Thank God I remember. Okay. It's not going to be very clear, so you'll just smile. Okay, Mindy, ready? Clear. Got it. Yeah, thank you, friends. Any questions or comments or anything that you noticed, anything that you'd like to share? You don't have to. Just wanted to offer it in case someone wanted to say anything to. Yeah, and yeah. So like lunchbox wise, so yeah, so you have like the 3 steps: take a seat, take a comfortable seat, the posture, place the attention on the breath, and then step 3, as thoughts arise, label them thinking. And so yeah, you figure out what that looks like for you moving forward. Once a week, twice a week, thrice a week, 3 times a week. I think that like a good practice, they say, is like 5 days a week. 10 to 15 minutes, or even at some point 20 minutes. But yeah, just figure out what works for you, and it's just and it could also be a tool for before meetings or after rough conversations, or even during your practice if you're a yoga practitioner. That long chair hold, bringing your attention back to your breath after 13 breaths of some teachers, long holds can be helpful. So yeah, I can't express or articulate how grateful I am for all my friends who were able to make it, and I really appreciate the support. And like I said, I'll be here every Wednesday, by myself or with anyone else. I'm still going to meditate, so it'll be on Zoom. The link's on my Instagram. And if anybody has any questions or would like any more information or anything like that, just feel free to reach out. And if you just want to meditate, you just need someone to give you the 3 steps. Everybody here has my phone number or has a way to reach me. Just reach out and text me and put me on voice on FaceTime, and put the phone down, and I'll guide you. So you're not alone, and you've supported me, and I want to support you in any way that I can. So yeah, thank you, friend. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys have a good night. And I really appreciate everyone that showed up. Thank you, Paulie, Tere, Dan, Ashley, Mindy, Jomo, Claire, and Liz. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. All right,
Thank you,
stop.
Caesar.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Caesar.
Thank you.
Good night, friends.
Bye.
Good night.